The planet breaks in my mind first, a seam of light, two halves drifting. That future is not here yet, the thought alone is heavy enough. On the bridge of the UTS Valiant, Neptune rolls under us and the duty clock ticks like a nail being tapped. Council link in 10, Lieutenant Arlen says. Young, precise. Route it to the table. Mute until I say. The holo opens, convoy threads, defense nodes, and the thin grey ring of the Aegis Array far beyond Neptune. If the ring works, we live with bargaining room. If it fails, the Threxians harvest us on schedule. The council crest spins. I drop the mute. Faces resolve, Chair Okoye, Premier Lee, Admiral Soren. Earth turns somewhere below their runes. Captain Kade, Okoye says. Assessment. Erivos 9 shows incoming mass. Dominion hulls north of 70. New crescent carriers. Colony defenses won't hold. Negotiations? Lee asks. We sent 3 envoys. The third was returned in pieces. No one breathes for a count of 5. They demand submission, Soren says. Ritual, as always. It changes when someone can break their sword, I say. You propose the Aegis, he answers. Okoye's tone is level. We built that array to prevent annihilation, not start it. The array exists, I say. It drinks from Jupiter and focuses that power. We designed it to end a war in an hour. Deterrent without proof is a rumor. Lee's mouth tightens. Target? A Dominion colony in the Erivos Ark logistics shell, no sapient population. Remove it, and the message is simple, turn. Soren exhales. Cut a planet for theater. For clarity, I say. We cannot outbleed them. We can foul their pride. If we crack a world, we crack the story they tell about us. Okoye studies my face. Ethics. No genocide, I say. Stone, not flesh. Broadcast the strike to their ceremonial feeds. Then stop. Make the choice obvious. And if the array fails? Lee asks. Then they come, I answer, and we die as ourselves. Silence holds. Then Okoye nods once. Prepare. Target vetting must be absolute. No firing without final order. Captain Kade, you have operational control. The crest fades. The bridge exhales. Arlen murmurs, we're really doing this. We're preparing, I say. The crew listens without speaking, absorbing the shape of necessity now. Chief Engineer Hana Ito slides out from a hatch, sleet smudged, eyes bright. You just promised to bow a thunderstorm with a violin string. Can you tune it? Ask me in its shadow. We burn outward. The Valiant hums at a steady note. Crew chatter becomes rhythm, checks, cross-checks, numbers passed hand to hand. Erivos 9 dwindles behind us. Beyond Neptune the Aegis rises. No picture prepares you. The ring is a chain of towers linked by light, spined with radiators and lenses, filaments reaching toward a core dark as zero. Jupiter's voice travels the metal. Ito whispers on a private line. She's bigger than the drawings admitted. Can you love something like this? I can respect it, she says. Love is for things that won't bite. Docking petals catch. Techs in mag boots arc between trusses. Inside, the air smells sterile and iron sharp. The command heart is a suspended sphere. I step in, the interface skins to my palms. Systems wake, banks, lenses, petals, quench sinks, safety cages. Red status lights look eager to stay. Ito's team fans out. She keeps 2 channels open, one to me, one to her instincts. Coherence lattice is bent, she says. Tiny, but enough to singe us if we're flashy. We reface the petals or the beam will shear. Timeline. 2 days, if nothing bites. On scopes, space bruises. Dominion scouts prickle like wasps. They taste. Overlord Zathar scream, the silver says. Observing posture. Let them watch, I say. Vetting begins. The candidate is a warehouse world, mines, refineries, drone yards, no cities, no farms, no schools. Confirm no sapience, I say. Multiple passes, Arlen answers. Nothing with a vote. The council returns at station night. Okoye looks older, panic flickers behind a mask. Updates. Alignment underway. Target uninhabited by sapients. Scouts still watching. If we do this, Lee says, retaliation may be extermination. If we don't, I say, occupation becomes a syllabus. Okoye shuts her eyes once. You understand the weight. I do. Better we carry it now than teach it later. Soren clears his throat. Broadcast architecture. We can thread their ceremonial channels, Arlen says. Packet burst. Proceed to readiness, Okoye says. Authorization pending. The link dies. The sphere throws back my reflection, tired eyes, jaw locked. Ito calls me to the lens skin. We drift past radiators glowing dull cherry. Inside, lattice points flicker in a strict ballet. Almost there, she says. Imagine tuning a choir that hates your music. Bring her to breath. Power flows. The array drinks Jupiter. Coils darken. The ring hums a note too deep for ears. Captain, Arlen says. Open channel from Erivo space. Dominion encryption, ceremonial key. On. An image uncoils, a tall figure in obsidian plates, eyes like drowned embers. Overlord Zathar's voice fills the heart, bored. Little world, he says, bend your knee. Bear our mark and live beneath our shadow. Resist, and your seas will boil. I let the silence stretch. Overlord, I say, this is Captain Mara Kade of Earth. We don't kneel. Turn your ships. Take your hunger elsewhere. He tilts his head, amused. You are many for a young brood. That makes the culling efficient. The channel dies. Make sure the feeds work, I say. When we answer, I want him to learn a new word. I drift to the observation blister. Neptune shivers. The array ticks, warming. Arlen joins me, hands linked behind his back. Permission to speak freely. Granted. If we do this, there's no going back. There never was, I say. We're just catching up. The ship hums. I lay my palm on the glass. They think we're weak, I tell the dark. Time to show them what Earth can do. The Dominion fleet moved like a bruise across the Erivo sector. Dozens of carriers and warships, their hulls edged in crimson metal, arrayed themselves in a slow wheel. Transmission relays confirmed what every officer already knew: this was not a patrol. It was the prelude to an invasion. On the Valiant's bridge, silence stretched as the scan report scrolled across the holo. Lieutenant Arlen broke it first. 73 confirmed capital ships. Escort still counting. Captain Mara Kade studied the projection. It resembled a storm map, thunderclouds curling into formation. They're putting their full weight on one system, she murmured. They want us to see it. Psychological warfare, Commander Da Silva added. Show the prey what's coming. Then let's make sure the prey bares its teeth, Mara replied. The council session was summoned on emergency code. The secure chamber blinked alive with the faces of Earth's leaders. Some carried fatigue, others raw fear. Premier Lee spoke first, eyes hard. Captain Kade, this display of force exceeds our projections. We cannot stand against it fleet to fleet. That leaves only negotiation. Negotiation? Admiral Soren scoffed. You saw what happened to the envoys. The Dominion respects one thing: dominance. To them, weakness is invitation. And what of morality? Councillor Tan interjected. You speak of dominance, Admiral. What we consider deterrent could look like atrocity. A weapon that cleaves planets, what makes us different from them if we use it? Mara leaned forward. Her voice was steady, carrying more steel than fire. Difference lies in intent. They burn worlds to erase cultures, to feed empire. We will not slaughter a people. We will make one world uninhabitable, already barren, and only to prevent every other human world from becoming chains around our throats. Lee's gaze narrowed. History will not remember the nuance. History is written by those who survive, Mara said. I'd like humanity to be among them. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Chair Okoye said softly, Captain, your proposal remains under review. But time is thin. If the array can be aligned before their fleet reaches Erivos 9, it may be our only card. Hours later, the Valiant's mess hall buzzed with nervous energy. Crew members bent over ration trays but ate little. Rumors had spread, the array was being readied, and humanity was preparing to wield something that should never have been built. Ensign Darrow cornered Mara as she passed. His voice was hesitant but firm. Captain, with respect, I don't understand. We joined to defend colonies, not to destroy worlds. Doesn't firing that thing make us the same as them? Mara stopped, weighing him with her eyes. The room went quiet around them. Look at me, Ensign. Do you see a conqueror? He swallowed. No. Good. Because we're not. The Threxians will come for Earth whether we kneel or not. The choice isn't between morality and power. The choice is survival or extinction. If this strike convinces them we're too costly to enslave, then we've saved billions of lives with one cut. Her words lingered. Some nodded. Others stared down at their trays. But no one spoke against her. Beyond Neptune, the array trembled under the hands of engineers. Hana Ito had been working without sleep, her uniform stained with coolant streaks. She spoke with the clipped urgency of someone balancing on a wire. Alignment is within 1% tolerance. Any further and the lattice destabilizes. We're talking meltdown, Captain. How much power can we channel safely? Mara asked. Enough to crack a small moon, Ito answered. But to split a planet as you want, we'll be redlining the coils. They weren't built for repeated firings. Maybe not even for one. Then we won't repeat it, Mara said. One message is all we need. Ito snorted. Let's hope the universe understands plain language. Meanwhile, aboard the Dominion flagship Bloodfang, Overlord Zephyr lounged on a throne carved from the bones of a Leviathan beast. His advisors clustered nearby, uneasy. Scouts confirm activity near Sol's 8th planet, one said. The humans stir something large. Energy readings are abnormal. Zethar's eyes glowed faintly. Their toys do not concern me. Young species often mistake desperation for ingenuity. This is no ordinary weapon, the advisor pressed. It channels energy at a scale we have not catalogued before. Zethar rose, towering, his voice rumbling with contempt. Then let them wield it. Fear makes prey lash out. When they exhaust their trick, we will press boot to throat. Do not mistake noise for strength. Back on the Valiant, Mara received the report. The Dominion fleet was advancing more aggressively now, cutting transit time. They would reach Erivos 9 in less than 3 days. Arlen studied the numbers, jaw tight. They don't believe we'll act. They think the array is a bluff. Then we'll prove them wrong, Mara said. De Silva asked the question no one wanted to speak. And if it fails? If the beam fractures, if it doesn't cut cleanly? Mara looked out the viewport at the dark curve of Neptune. Then we fight with what we have. And when we fall as ourselves, not as their cattle. Night cycle on the array was a lie, artificial dimming of lights, the hum of systems at half volume, but the effect weighed on the crew. Mara walked the observation corridor, the massive radiators glowing faintly in the distance. Ito joined her, stretching her stiff shoulders. You ever think about what it means, Captain? To make a weapon like this? Ito asked quietly. Every hour. I signed up to keep ships flying, not to split planets. Feels like I'm holding a blade at the neck of the universe. Mara gave a thin smile. The universe has been holding blades at our throats since before fire. Maybe it's time we showed it we can bleed back. Ito studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Just don't ask me to enjoy it. The council's final session before the strike was tense. Okoye presided, voice roughened by exhaustion. Captain Kade, your engineers confirm readiness. Target verified as uninhabited. The Dominion fleet will reach Erivos 9 in 72 hours. This is the last chance to reconsider. Lee's face flickered in the holo, pale with strain. If this fails, we provoke annihilation. If we do nothing, Mara said, we guarantee it. Councillor Tan's voice was brittle. We gamble with billions of lives on the morality of one strike. Mara's reply was sharp. Better a gamble than a leash. Okoye raised a hand. Enough. The Council authorizes operational readiness. Final fire order remains at my discretion. Captain Kade, prepare your array. The feed cut. The chamber fell silent. In the heart of the array, Mara stood with her officers as systems cycled into full readiness. The hum deepened, resonating in bone. Red warning glyphs lined the consoles. Arlen's voice was hushed. Captain, if we succeed, everything changes. The galaxy will never see us the same way. Mara stared into the shifting lattice of light, where coils bent energy into a knife's edge. That's the point, Lieutenant. After tonight, they'll know exactly who they are dealing with. The array shuddered once, as though it sensed its own awakening. Outside, Dominion scouts hung on the edge of the system, watching. The storm was gathering, and Earth was about to answer. The array hung beyond Neptune like a crown of glass and steel, its towers glinting faintly against the distant sun. Energy pulsed along its spines, not yet focused, but restless, like a predator pacing. Captain Mara Kade stood in the array's command heart, the transparent sphere that floated at the center of the ring. Panels flickered with streams of power data, each one more alarming than the last. Chief Engineer Hannah Ito wiped sweat from her temple with the back of her wrist. We're drawing off Jupiter's magnetosphere at 80%. Any higher, and the coils will melt down faster than we can vent them. How long until we're in firing condition? Mara asked. 26 minutes, assuming nothing snaps. Something will snap, Commander Da Silva muttered. The question is whether it's before or after we light the fuse. Mara's eyes stayed on the readouts. Before, we die in shame. After, we die remembered. The crew didn't reply, but their silence was heavy agreement. Reports streamed in. Dominion scouts lingered at the edge of the system, transmitting constant telemetry back to their overlord. Their fleet continued toward Erivos 9, 3 days out. Lieutenant Arlen read from his console. Scouts are probing our relay, boys. They know we're charging something. They just don't know what. Let them watch, Mara said. Fear grows best in half-truths. Inside the array, vibrations shuddered through the frame as energy bled into the focusing lattice. The hum deepened until it vibrated in teeth and bones. Ito barked at her team. Stabilize node 13. If it falls out of phase, we won't be splitting a planet, we'll be splitting ourselves. Atet shouted back. Compensators are redlining. Mara moved closer. How bad? On the edge, Ito said tightly. Like balancing a dagger on its tip. We can hold it long enough to fire once. That's all we'll need. The first sign of trouble came from the Dominion. A sudden spike on sensors, smaller warships detaching from their formation, headed toward the array's position. Fast cruisers, Arlen said. They'll be in weapons range within the hour. They want to disrupt the strike, Da Silva said. They can't, Mara answered. We'll be done before they arrive. Still, she could feel the margin thinning. Minutes crawled. Power surged. The array's inner lattice glowed, lines of incandescent light threading like veins across its surface. A low keening noise rose, half mechanical, half something stranger. Ito's knuckles were white on the rail. She's awake. And she's angry. Good, Mara said. Let her be. The Dominion flagship, Bloodfang, watched from afar. Overlord Zathar stood tall on his throne, flanked by trembling advisors. The Array's growing light painted his chamber in pale fire. One of his lieutenants spoke nervously. Overlord, the humans have created something vast. Our scouts report power levels consistent with. With desperation, Zathar cut him off. A dying world flails hardest before silence. Yet his eyes never left the projection. And for the first time, doubt clouded them. Back on the Array, alarms cascaded as the final countdown began. Energy threshold reached, Arlen reported. Target locked, Erevos 9B, Dominion Logistics Colony. No sapient life confirmed. Da Silva crossed himself unconsciously. If this goes wrong. It won't, Mara said. She projected certainty, even though her stomach knotted. She opened the fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Captain Kade. You will witness what comes next. Record it. Send it to every Dominion frequency you can crack. Let them see exactly what humanity is capable of. The Array's spines shifted, enormous petals sliding into alignment. Each lens glowed with focused radiance, converging into a single channel. Ito screamed over the noise. Beam coherence dropping by 2%. If it slips further. Hold it. Mara snapped. Just hold it. Technicians fought their panels, forcing recalibrations by instinct as much as calculation. The lattice buckled, then locked again, blazing brighter than a star. Mara gave the order. Fire. The Array unleashed. A lance of energy tore across space, so bright it burned spots into every viewport. The beam speared through the void, striking the barren Dominion colony world with surgical precision. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the planet split. A fracture line ripped from pole to pole, light pouring out like molten veins. The world convulsed, two halves tearing apart in slow motion, magma flooding into space in great rivers. Shockwaves tore through the atmosphere, then the crust itself shattered, pieces spiraling into the void. Gasps filled the command heart. Some crew cried out in awe. Others fell silent, horrified. Arlen whispered, "We actually did it." But the strike did more than slice a planet. The energy wave ripped through nearby space, catching Dominion cruisers as they closed in. Half of them disintegrated instantly, torn apart by sheer force. The others reeled, systems fried, drifting powerless. In the distance, the Dominion fleet froze. Their formation, once steady, wavered. On the Bloodfang, Overlord Zathar rose to his feet, his voice no longer steady. Impossible? Back on the Array, alarms screamed as the structure buckled under the backlash. Power relays detonated in showers of sparks. Engineers fought to shut down the flow before the system consumed itself. Ito slammed her palm into a console. "We can't hold the lattice, she's burning herself apart." "Shut it down," Mara ordered. The light dimmed, then guttered out. The Array sagged into silence, its towers cracked and blackened, but still intact. The silence that followed fell deeper than space itself. The transmission feed showed the split planet, its two halves drifting apart like colossal embers. Dominion frequencies erupted with chaos, shouts, panic, disbelief. Mara stood straight. Her voice carried over every channel. "Overlord Zathar, do you see us now?" That was stone. Not flesh. "Come closer, and it will not be the last. Humanity will never kneel." She cut the transmission. The crew erupted into a confused chorus, some cheering, others shaken, most simply stunned. Da Silva turned to her, eyes wide. "Captain, we just changed history." Mara allowed herself one slow breath. "No. We just gave them a choice." Beyond Neptune, the shattered planet glowed like a beacon. And for the first time, the Dominion fleet hesitated. The storm had been met, not with submission, but with fire strong enough to split a world. The image of the broken world lingered in every mind. Two halves drifting apart, spilling rivers of fire into the void. Human hands had done that. On Earth, billions watched through delayed broadcasts, their faces lit by the glow of catastrophe. Some wept at the sight, others cheered. Awe and dread held equal weight. In the command heart of the array, silence settled heavy. The last echoes of alarms had faded. Engineers slumped against consoles, skin grey with exhaustion. Hana Ito sat on the floor, hair plastered to her forehead, whispering half a prayer, half a curse. Captain Mara Kade stood upright, gaze locked on the fractured planet. Her reflection in the viewport looked older than she remembered. Lieutenant Arlen broke the silence. Dominion fleet is holding position. No advance. No retreat yet either. Commander De Silva added, their comms are chaos. Intercepted chatter, fear, disbelief. They weren't ready for this. They are now, Mara said softly. The council demanded immediate contact. The chamber filled with familiar faces, pale in the glow of the live feed. Chair Okoye leaned forward, voice hoarse. Captain Kade, what we witnessed, it was beyond imagining. Premier Lee's expression was colder. You've placed humanity on a blade's edge. We are feared now, yes, but also marked. The galaxy will not forget this display. They were going to erase us, Mara replied. Now they pause. Fear is not a curse, it's a shield. Councillor Tan's tone cracked with anguish. You cleaved a world in half. Do you not feel the horror of that act? Mara met her gaze. Every second. But I'll feel it while alive, not as bones in a Dominion reliquary. Okoye raised a hand, cutting through the rising argument. Enough. We cannot undo what has been done. The question is what comes next. On the Bloodfang, Overlord Zephar's rage boiled. The shattered remains of his colony filled his tactical displays, mocking him. Advisors bent low, wary of his fury. One dared to speak. Overlord, humanity's weapon is not unlimited. Such a device cannot be fired often. Its strain nearly tore itself apart. Zephar's claws dug into the arm of his throne. Irrelevant. They dared to humiliate us. If we strike now, we risk more losses. If we retreat, we admit weakness. Perhaps, the advisor ventured carefully, we delay. Consolidate. Another day, when their weapon sleeps, we resume. Zephar's silence stretched long enough to terrify the chamber. Then he spat a single word. Withdrawal. The order spread. Dominion ships turned, their formation breaking like smoke in wind. Humanity had won, not with numbers, but with spectacle. Back on the array, the news arrived. Fleet is pulling back, Arlen said in disbelief. They are actually retreating. A cheer erupted from the lower decks, raw and desperate. Some cried, some laughed, others simply stared. The impossible had happened, the Dominion had blinked first. De Silva let out a long, shaky breath. We bought survival. Mara didn't smile. Her eyes stayed on the drifting wreckage of the split planet. We bought time. Don't confuse the two. The array's infirmary overflowed with injured techs, burns, concussions, radiation exposure. Ito sat on a cot with her arm bandaged, still giving orders between sips of water. When Mara entered, she tried to stand but nearly toppled. Sit, Mara ordered. Ito obeyed, though her eyes burned with defiance. We almost lost her. Another 30 seconds of draw and the coils would have ruptured. We'd all be ashes now. But we're not, Mara said. Ito's laugh was bitter. One strike. That's all this machine has in her. She's a dragon with one breath. Then we made it count, Mara said quietly. Thank you, Hana. Without you, we wouldn't be here. Ito leaned back, eyes closing. I hope history remembers more than the fire. The council's final address came days later. Broadcasts spread to every colony and station. Chair Okoye stood before the assembled delegates, her voice carrying the weight of history. Humanity was given a choice, kneel or vanish. We chose neither. Captain Mara Kade and the Array have shown the galaxy that we will not be prey. We grieve the destruction of a world, but we affirm this truth: Earth will stand free. Applause thundered across the chamber. But in the streets of Earth's cities, reactions split. Some celebrated humanity's rise as a power to be feared. Others marched in mourning, carrying banners that read "Not in our name." The world was alive with argument, but alive nonetheless. That night, Mara walked the Valiant's observation deck alone. The stars stretched infinite, silent witnesses to what had been done. The remains of the shattered planet glowed faintly, still bleeding light into the dark. De Silva found her there, carrying 2 cups of coffee. He handed one over. "Figured you'd need it." She took it, sipping without speaking. He studied her a moment. "You don't look like someone who just saved her species." "I don't feel like it either," Mara admitted. "I keep thinking about what it means to threaten whole worlds to stay alive. We survived, but at what cost to who we are?" De Silva shrugged, gaze on the wreckage beyond the glass. "Maybe the cost is the point. Freedom always demands something. Better a scar on our conscience than chains on our wrists." Mara let the words sit. The coffee was bitter, grounding. In the weeks that followed, whispers traveled faster than light. Other civilizations heard the tale. The young species from Sol, once dismissed, had split a planet in 2. Some saw opportunity, potential allies strong enough to challenge the Dominion. Others saw danger, a reckless species wielding weapons fit for gods. For the Threxians, the story cut deepest. For the first time in centuries, their empire had stepped back. Fear of Earth spread through their ranks like infection. Mara's final report to the Council was brief, stripped of rhetoric. "The Array is crippled. The Dominion has withdrawn, for now. Humanity stands, but vulnerable. Recommend urgent investment in fleet expansion, diplomatic outreach, and defensive networks. We cannot rely on one weapon. We must rely on ourselves." She ended transmission and closed her eyes. Later, she returned to the Array one last time. The towers were dark, scarred from the strike. She walked the silent corridors until she reached the command heart. The glass sphere was cold now, lifeless. She placed her hand against it and whispered, "A warning shot." Nothing more. Her voice echoed faintly. Outside, the shattered planet drifted on, testimony etched in fire. Across the stars, the galaxy watched, unremembered. Humanity had declared itself. Not as prey. Not as slaves. But as a people willing to carve survival out of stone and flame. And though Captain Mara Kade carried the weight of that act, she also carried its truth. Earth had found its voice. When the histories were written, one line stood above the rest. Earth sent a warning shot. It cut a planet in half. And the galaxy never looked at humanity the same way again. Word count, ~1000.